everybody. Hope you are having a good midweek. I was gonna say start of your week, and then I realized that is not true. We are middle of the week, which is kind of scary when I think about it, because the weeks are gonna fly by. But anyway, so today we are gonna continue looking at Magnus's games. This month is the Magnus month. I don't know why, but we kind of considered that idea. And thank you for the explanations on the title and the chat too. So yeah, that's kind of the thing we got going. So I'm looking live. Everything seems to be great. Oh, hi Navid. Yeah, so we are gonna continue. This is a kind of a cool game. It's a game between Magnus and Ivanchuk, and I thought it's a very interesting game, especially because Magnus really just played very beautifully, and it was not such a long game, because I've realized when we do longer games, if it's like more than 40 something move, then we're gonna have a lot of trouble actually finishing given time, and then we're gonna have to run through it, and it's not gonna be very pretty. So I've decided to try to select games that are only 30 to 40 moves. If it's even shorter, even better. But between two super strong players, we usually don't get below 30 moves, although there was very fun game between Magnus and Nakamura that I showed a few weeks ago. That definitely was one of the shortest ones. So let's get going, and I don't need to do a YouTube trial. Alright, so this was a very cool game. The opening is kind of, well, boring, honestly. Let me rephrase. Not necessarily boring, but very basic. It's like, we've seen games from Magnus that he starts with, like, first move C3, or, like, he does Scandinavian, or, like, stuff like that. We are not necessarily, this is not a game like that. And by the way, this is a game in 2011, Bilbao, I believe, and I thought it was kind of fun, because 2011, I was not really caring that much about chess. I mean, I was playing tournaments, and I even went to Brazil in 2011 for World Youth Championship, and I got 5th place, and it was kind of cool. But I wasn't like looking at it like, oh, I'm gonna like be like a super title player, or I'm gonna actually be professional. So kind of weird to think that's 12 years ago. Yeah. So, thank you everybody for being awake and being with us. Oops, sorry, that was my bad. Alright, so let's get going. I do play the Silence Black, and that's another reason why I thought it's kind of a cool game to show. It's the Nimzo-Indian, and with Nimzo-Indian, it's, with Nimzo-Indian, there's so many lines that I've done a little from white side, from black side. We've done different videos, and not just me, a lot of other streamers, a lot of other club teachers have done videos on F3, on E3, on the classics with like A3. There are just like, you name it, we've done it. So it's very important to keep an open mind about what's going on here. Yeah, kind of, not necessarily Queen's Gambit declined, but like, if black does end up playing d5, sometimes black doesn't. Black goes for like these setups, or tries to keep this diagonal open and doesn't play d5. So it's very important to just keep an open mind. Oh, I hear subscription. Lovely, thank you for YouTube subscriptions. Alright, so let's get going. In this game, Magnus played knight f3. Knight f3 is one of the relatively, I don't want to call it calm ones, but less crazy ones. Yeah, definitely relatively one of the less crazier ones, supposedly, but then we're gonna see, because in a lot of the lines, especially if black is not as experienced, again, black is Ivanchuk, so that's not what we're going for here. Black could get tricked into white playing e4, not right now, but like with queen c2 e4, or like trying to go e3, get the knight out of e2, and then push for e4. A lot of like e4s in there. So that's another thing to keep in mind. However, in this situation, that's not necessarily the worry of this game. And so, knight f3. Uh, yeah, it became very popular in during that Karpov-Kasparov match in 1985, I believe. Yeah, and it's very important because that's something that, like, again, this is 13 years ago. Well, actually, 12 years ago. Hold on, what's wrong with my math? That's 10 years ago. What? Why do I think it's 2023? Oh boy, I'm getting my years wrong. Usually you get the days of the week or the months wrong, but in this case I'm adding 2 years to everybody's. Um, yeah, this game is 10 years ago. And I don't want to confuse anybody, but in the 1985 match between Karpov and Kasparov, this became quite popular. So if you have not really spent enough time learning about that match, go do it. Well, not right now. First, make sure to stay here during our stream and then go watch videos and go read the books about that match, because it's really important to understand what's going on in the chess history. Not necessarily like every single detail, but just the big stuff. You gotta know the big stuff in chess history. In anything. If you like, oh, this was funny. I was looking at memes from medicine, and there was this very funny meme about like anesthesia became a thing in like 1946, and like the doctor before that, so doctors like would just punch the patients. That is not true, to my knowledge, but that was just fun. So like, just like, little stuff to pick up from here and there. Anywho, and in this game, Ivanchuk went for b6. I'm a big fan of b6, but that doesn't necessarily mean that b6 is the only thing to do. You can definitely do stuff like d5 as well. And if bishop g5, then this is another thing that was played. I believe Aronian played it like 2-3 years, yeah, in 2014, so 3 years after this game was played with Mamedyarov, and he won it. But again, these are just suggestions of what's going on, and now you get fun Carlsbad pawn structure and the fight for this this cool diagonal. So that's another thing to keep in mind with like d5. And let's see, what else can we do? What about c5? c5, definitely doable. I like c5s generally when I play Nimzo-Indian as black. I feel like c5's gonna keep my options open. Do I want to play d5? Do I not want to play d5? I've just had a better feeling on this, and this was one of the games between Kasparov versus Karpov in Moscow 1985, their World Championship match, which Kasparov went for g3, and this kind of this knight d4s when you play c5 are very common. Can be followed with f5 sooner or later. The d5 is possibility too, but like this whole playing against double pawns, I kind of like it, but doesn't necessarily work every time. So yeah, and in this game, white, I believe, won. Yeah. Please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe this game, this is the 13th game that white did win. Anywho, let's go back. So I'm just showing you possible lines from the opening. Usually that's what we do. I kind of introduce different ideas to you, and then I show you what the players did. So Ivanchuk played b6. Now what about castle? One last line. Castle, again, white can just play queen c2 or bishop d2, but in one of the games that is popular is Wojtaszek game, and he went for bishop g5 and just finished developing queenside first, and then slowly went back to deal with the king side. But by the time he went that, black kind of had already made some serious changes to the position, so it wasn't, I mean, white had more opportunities to figure out how to continue, and it's not necessarily like, okay, I gotta put my bishop here, like just short castle. It gave the game a little more oomph, I guess. I've learned the word oomph more recently, so I'm hoping that I'm using it in a correct content. So feel free to help me with my English too. Anywho, this game I do prefer white, so that's not the point. I think it's more pleasant to be a pawn up, even though if it's double pawns and have a stronger king, these these two kings compare are not really, I mean, this king on g8 is not exactly the dreamboat when g5 happens. Also, white has two bishops. Anyways, just introducing potential ideas. So, in the real game, in Ivanchuk's game, Ivanchuk went for b6, Magnus continued with queen c2. Again, their ideas with e3, not f2 right now, g3, bishop g5. There are so many different ways to play Nimzo-Indian that if I just talk about different lines, we're gonna run out of time and patience. So, now, let's just continue. In this game, Magnus decided that he just queen a for check. Well, I mean, if we could, I would like to pick up 3 bishops, but I don't think that's possible. I mean, if d5 happens, then we can consider queen a4 more seriously. Oh, are you talking about right now? What if d5? But if d5, queen a4, just knight c6 stops it. And I don't really have d5 myself. If I could play d5 and, like, you know, pin the knight, I would. But it's good eye. You're making connections, but I don't think that works here. Alright, so, now, Magnus really wanted to just figure out what's going on here. Not a bad idea. When I work with my younger students, I always encourage them to poke the thing that's pinning them, and they seem to like it. So, kind of makes it more easy to handle. Like, okay, so I don't want to be pinned, so let's go and just figure out what this bishop wants to do. And usually when the bishop does come to b4, it's very unlikely for it to, that's not gonna happen. It's very unlikely for it to stay around. It's definitely more likely to just, you know, do this exchange. And finally, knight e4. Okay, queen's under attack, we gotta come back. And f5. So this position from black side is something that I actually play as black. So let's see how Magnus would beat me if we played like this. So in this position, I'm gonna another subscriber, lovely. I'm gonna ask a few questions, and I would love a good interaction from audience. So, what do you guys think white should be doing? The first thing to figure out is which side you want to castle. Probably we're gonna do short side castle, right? Long side castle doesn't really feel safe after all these pawn movements, and there's not much pieces protecting it, so we're most likely gonna do short side castling, unless black makes like a huge blunder and the game just ends before we cast them. And so, in order to do that, we gotta figure out what to do with this bishop. Now, so we have 2 potential routes for the bishop. Which one do you suggest? Which one do you think is a better one? Honestly, I think both of them are doable. So it's not, maybe it's not about which one is better, it's more like preference. Which one would you prefer? Horse c to e5. Knight e5 doesn't really serve a purpose. We really gotta figure out how to get the king to safety. Interesting, I'm seeing more g3 than e3s. Yeah, in the game Magnus went for g3, but e3 is just as possible. And if e3, let's say castle, you get the bishop out and you just castle. And whose game was this? I was looking at this earlier. Oh, a lot of subscribers. Yeah, this was actually a game that was played between Kramnik and Polgar, Judith. And so in this game, for example, Kramnik decided to just go for the queen side, while Judith went for the king side. So it was kind of a fun game to watch. And I always like it when there's different side attacks. I don't know how to explain it. It's more like more challenging. No, maybe not challenging is not the right word. More alive. I feel more alive, and there's like, you attack here, I'm gonna attack there. Yeah, and it just kind of feels more interesting too. But then again, it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. I just have a preference for this. Anyways, white already does have advantage in this type of position, because the attack on the king side is not really that strong. It doesn't really have much purpose, and in this game, I believe Kramnik actually actually ended up winning, even though Judith is doing whatever she can to hold an attack. The attack is not strong at all, and the pieces are very disorganized. There's not enough material, a low jack, to try and get this position to success. And yeah, this was a game between Kramnik Polgar, which Kramnik won in 2005. Anyways, let's go back a lot back. So yeah, did you guys enjoy watching Kramnik play in the latest Lack of Grand Chess Tour? Because I thought it was fun, because I think he announced retirement from classic chess, standard chess I guess, last year or so, and it was kind of fun to see him back just for the fun of it. And not classic, so technically he's still retired, but I liked watching it. Anyways, in this game, Magnus went for g3, logical, right? With g3, the idea is quite clear. I am going to flank with this guy, and I'm going to short castle. Good luck. So, knight goes away, bishop h3. How do you feel about this? Bishop h3, shocked? Happy? What do you think? What do you think this bishop h3 has? Alright, I'm gonna give you guys maybe about a minute, and then I'm gonna give you some comments on what's going on here. This was a new idea at the time, so 10 years ago this was a new idea. So what do you guys think is happening here? What do you think white wants? This bishop on f5, there's a pawn on e6, so how does that work? Alright, I think you guys are just as confused as I was when I first saw this. And yeah, so the idea is that yes, even though this is blocked right now, this does bring more future pressure. Exactly, thank you. With d5 idea, so it's more like a future idea. Like bishop h3 makes sense only because what's gonna happen later. And yeah, I agree. Yep, this d5 coming up could be quite interesting. So, and then there's another question. What about this g6? I don't think we need to address it much because we have a dark skirt colored bishop, and if you push this g6, it's just like a already funeral home for your kingside squares. So I don't think we should worry about this g6 at all. It weakens everything in the kingside way too much, and it's to be worth it. Oh, a lot of subscriptions. Thank you everybody. Yeah, so now Black just castled, Magnus just castled, and Ivanchuk was just, you know what, I'm just gonna push for a5. Now a5, is this a good idea or not? To be fair, it is stopping b4s, at least momentarily. So do we like this idea, or do we think there was a better idea? So he just played a5. My question, just to repeat it, did Black make inaccuracy? Was there anything better to do except for a5? And while you guys think about it, I'm gonna throw in some ideas in there. Remember, in this type of pawn structure especially, like all of Black's ideas are in the king side, so it does make sense to want to blockade the queen side before we shift everything to king side, but at the same time, a lot of the time it's very risky to initiate the first move in like the side that you're not playing, and so initiating this first like attack or blockade, I guess, could be quite heavy. It could have a very heavy cost. It could be very expensive overall. So was this a good move, or would it be better to just, you know, shift these pieces around here? And also, what's stopping white from playing d5? So just looking at this position for a little bit, we get this like bunch of like ideas that okay, white probably wants d5, white probably wants to do like b4, bishop b2. So white's gonna be playing in center slash queen side, black is gonna be playing in center slash king side. So yeah, it might have been a better idea for black to have played this queen e8. Now if d5, queen h5. And this bishop is under attack, so you gotta move this bishop so it relieves pressure from f5, and then this could happen. And I believe this was a game that happened a year after the current game. So the position that I'm showing you is a game that happened between two other grandmasters a year after, yeah, in 2012. And so white played rook d1, and white, still does have a more preferable position, but black is doing fine too. Good point. Stonewall could be quite risky if you are not an amateur. However, if for my students, my beginner students, I want them to get to attacking, so I do teach them the stonewall attacking ideas. Maybe with like the bishop on f4 first, maybe like a London mixed with stonewall. But that I feel like that idea to just get the kids attacking is good, because I have some students who are like very mature when it comes to attacking, and then they know nothing about endgame. And like this kid was really good. Like I've been working with them for a while now, and we had like a position, like literally an endgame with an extra rook, no pawns, just an extra rook, and he couldn't win it. And it's really started to shake me that oh, yeah, super basic endgames might not be very basic. Alright, so d5, cool idea. Now what if a5? Let's stop. Why can't I just play d5? Should I play d5? And this a5 is also kind of preparing for knight a6 to, for this knight to have some activity on the queen side of it. So d5 is definitely a good candidate move for white. What else do you think is worth it? Now let's take a quick look at d5. I think d5 would be quite interesting, and the position kind of starts to open up for the bishops, and white has two of it, black only has one, so that seems to be beneficial. If something like queen e8, now we could even do like a knight d4 to keep bringing pressure on these bad boys. I think that would be quite interesting, or even like bishop f4 to just develop it and get the bishop involved too. A lot of different little stuff that could lead to mini improvements. Alright, so I think this is again still a fair game, but I would definitely prefer to be white than black. So a5. In the game, however, Magnus continued with rook d1. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know if this was like a inaccuracy, or he just felt like d5 was too early. I don't know what he felt, but he definitely does have the d5 idea, because he played bishop h3, which is supporting d5 indirectly, and then he like played rook d1, which is supporting d5 directly. So he wants to play d5. That's not the question. Finally, black played queen e8. Now, is queen e8 good? Because there is another idea with bishop e4. This kind of reminds me of some of the Catalan moves that I used to play. Yeah, like get the bishop out, and then if the queen moves, what would we do next? Oh, sorry, that was a big yell. Yeah, I kind of like this actually. From black, I think it's a little bit more annoying than just queen e8. And if you play queen e8 now, okay, let's make some attacks. And again, I think white is overall a little bit better, but at the same time, black does have a little bit more activity than the just queen e8. This bishop on e4 kind of messes with white's harmony just a little bit. Yeah. And also, probably c5 coming up soon, so keep that in mind. Alright, Ivanchuk just went for queen e8. Now, is it time to finally play this d5? We've been talking about this d5 for a few moves now. Is it time? Or do we still have to wait for it? What do you guys think? Or girls? Any cool ideas? Oh, getting the bishop involved could be, but so if you want to do anything except d5, what's scaring you from d5? Because we've been preparing for this. Is it finally time? Ooh, another. What do you think? So e2 pawn, wait, e2 pawn is not really hanging. What is, I don't think that's something to be worried about. I think d5 is the right time now. Yeah, we gotta go for this d5. Now, sorry, whew, a lot of, I don't know what happened. Maybe I got emotional over d5. Finally d5 is happening. My little d5 is going off to college. Oh. Alright, now, d5 is, I think it's a good idea. Finally, we've been waiting for this only for like the past, I don't know, like 6 moves. So, good to finally have it out of the way. However, I think it might be an interesting idea to think from Black's perspective. So what's he gonna do? In previous lines, we saw suggestions with queen a5 and queen h5, and then we considered this potential knight jumping over here. Cause, ooh, I'm gonna do a little flex. From I think the very first YouTube video that I did for the chess club, I did a game of mine that was like January 2020. Yeah, I did a game of mine that I won as from Black side in a game that was very similar to this idea. It's like my I might be able to put the link here too. And it was very fun because I did the similar things as Black is doing, and I tried to like fixate over stuff over here and get my knight to fun squares. Well, it was a different route, but still, I got the knight to get to b3, and I had the pawn on a4, and I had everything fixed on queen side, and then I started doing stuff in the king side, and I ended up winning that game. But anyways, this kind of gave me a little deja vu. Alright, so there are some holes here that white has to be cautious when you move any pawns. You gotta be very careful about the holes that you leave behind. That sounded like a very quotable thing. Anyways, careful with your pawn movements. So, knight a6, I like it. After knight a6, we know what Black wants to do. So what do you guys think white should do? Because now we have this whole ginormous hole here that white definitely wants to jump into. So what should we do? And Naeem, eventually, yes, not tonight. However, if you have games that you have played previously, in about half an hour or so, we are gonna switch to Twitch, and you have the chance to send me your games in our Twitch channel so we can analyze them. Yeah, this fun segment of switch to Twitch. Previously, Caleb used to do that, but he had to lessen up his load, I guess. So he gave me his switch to Twitch lesson. E6 idea, b4. Yeah, I liked his idea, like to do e6 or like b4. I mean, sorry, not e6. D6 or like b4 could be interesting, but right now b4 you just drop the pawn. So not necessarily that, because the big problem whenever you want to play b4 is this rook is lonely. So now we're getting somewhere. If this rook is gonna be lonely, what should I do? Probably should move this bishop so that my rook is supported, right? So where do you think that bishop should go? What do you got going? Okay, okay, okay. So I like it. You guys are finally agreeing on getting the bishop out. So now the question is where? Oh, that's a good question. Is it better to exchange this bishop with this knight? No, I don't think so. Because this bishop is my like secret weapon. That's the one bishop that opponent doesn't have, right? And I agree, yes, bishop f4. This is the bishop that opponent doesn't have. He only has the light squared bishop, right? So I want to be able to use this bishop. That's like my secret weapon or like my tiny advantage or however you want to see it. That's the one thing that black does not have. Anywho, in this game, right now, black made an accurate move and he just took. From Ivanchuk, it's not exactly expected, you know, super high level chess player, has been around for like decades, he's been playing high level chess probably before I was born. Okay, maybe that might be an exaggeration, but before my chess career was born, let's go with that. So I don't necessarily like this take. So what about Queen h5? Queen h5 is indeed the better choice because now this bishop is kind of hanging around here. We gotta save it. Now the pressure on f5 is relieved and now black can take it. Now keep in mind if you take it, there are two attackers here, so that's not gonna pan out. We gotta play more sneaky. So if you play something like knight d4, we're pinning over here and we're bringing more pressure on this. It seems to be going well, right? And then rook e8, now there's another pressure over here. There's so many little pressure points, and let's say we end up in this type of position, and black actually does get quite a nice compensation for potential sacrifice, and that's just something to be very cautious about. Sorry, not necessarily this sacrifice, that would actually be interesting too, but even if we take it, black does get a good head start on the piece activation and going at opponent's king. So I think that's quite interesting, even if like bishop f3, queen moves, take, and something like bishop e3 to keep everything good and tidy, it's still not gonna be that pretty. I would actually prefer to be black here. Yeah, so this is not the only, I mean, if you play queen h5, it doesn't give you advantage. That's one thing that we've been talking a lot about in different classes that I teach, just that we don't like the idea that that the opponent can just do whatever they want. We're not just fighting for the advantage, we're fighting to make opponent uncomfortable too. And this queen h5 does make white quite uncomfortable, and also it does make it a little bit easier for black to activate the pieces. So bishop g2. There's a question about what about king g2. Definitely possible to consider, but your bishop is quite trapped here. If black could just get this pawn to g4, that's it. That bishop is a gonzo. You can't really hold on to it, and you can't really come back. And yeah, exactly. Something like even h6 and then g5, g4 could work. Or even if not, even if you just do this queen h5 and you just hold on, after king g2, you can't really do much here right now as white. Your bishop is stuck here forever. So I don't really think that's a good idea. So bishop f4, ed5, and finally, what do you think Magnus did? This is a take, this is a take. Ooh, Tim, I'm glad you brought it up. I've been waiting to be a little sassy. I haven't been able to be sassy in a while because I'm a woman grandmaster, FIDE trainer, and an international master, and I work for the club, and you came to my channel. So welcome. Thank you, Tim. I miss being sassy. Alright, so what do you think white should do? Oh, don't worry, Tim just gave me a chance to flex off a little. I've been waiting to do that for a while. So, what do you think? What do you think white should do here? Ooh, I like it when I hear the subscription noise. Maybe I should just have it as my background noise. Alright, what do you think white's gonna do? Yeah, so taking on f5 is definitely a fun thing to do. Taking on d5 is something that we should consider, but I don't think that's the right way, because if we take it, we're just activating opponent's pieces, right? If we take it, then the knight will take, now my bishop is under attack, and then I don't want to activate my opponent's pieces. So, how about just bishop f5? Yep. And so also keep in mind that this game was played 2 years before Magnus was the world champion. So I just wanted to point that out. So he was still, I was going to say baby, but he wasn't a baby because he already had, wait, has he already crossed the rating barrier? Oh, no. He hasn't broken the Kasparov record yet, rating-wise, but he was very close. This was, I believe, few months before he succeeded. Yeah, this was in, actually, I don't know the month, but Bilbao tournament is usually, have always been in summer that I remember, and he broke Kasparov's record in the London, so December, end of the year to 2011. So a few months before he officially became the highest rated player in the history. This is that game. Well, not that game, one of the games that led there. Anywho, yeah, bishop f5 is a good idea, and if d takes c4, what do you think? Yeah, there are a lot of these super GMs who became grandmasters at such a young age, and when I think about it, when I was like 13, 14, I still didn't know if I wanted to play chess full time, and actually, like, I was always trying to balance between chess and school, but a lot of these super talented people just has already made that decision, said no to school and said no to like college and everything, and just went for chess. But I'm still balancing it, so yeah. I did take a gap year after high school to improve my chess, which I got my titles in that year, but still. Alright, so bishop f5, and yeah, so it's taking over here, it's not a good idea because you're not activating any of your pieces. Yeah, you're opening up your bishop, but this bishop is active enough. It's not exactly that hard for this bishop to be included in the game rather than the knights. So we gotta start thinking about the knights. So this take is quite inaccurate. Knight e4 would be the best move. Let's see. I think knight c5 is also worth considering, but knight c5 kind of gives white the chance to go for b4, and we don't exactly want to, be nice to our opponents. We want to kick and bite. So this definitely does not kick and bite. That's not a biting move. Knight e4 would be an interesting choice because now this bishop is lonely. If you take it, ooh, now black is actually better in this position. A lot of sacrificial chances. This knight gotta move. The piece activity, you name it, black has it. Alright, so bishop h3, and then yeah, bishop h3 and queen h5. This would be black's best chance to activate his pieces, to fixate on the king side, queen side for a while, start attacking the king side. It doesn't necessarily mean that black is going to have advantage. No, white still has advantage, but it does mean that black would have a better chance at achieving anything except for a loss in this game. And yeah, so dc4, and now what do you think white should do? Are we going to take this with check, or do we have a better thing planned? Comment about if you're not a grandmaster by 15, you'll never be good. I disagree, but I do agree that if you're not a grandmaster by 15, it's highly unlikely for you to become a world champion, because in chess it's not just about the title. It's like you get Grandmaster at what, like 2,500, but you need to be like 2,700 plus to be invited to a lot of these super events, super tournaments. So the later you get that Grandmaster Norman titles, the less likely it will become for you to cross that 2,700 barrier. And a lot of chesses with maturity too. So a lot of the people that I know who have became grandmasters in their teen years, they are not necessarily crossing 2,700 anytime soon either. So it really depends on the support that you have from family, friends, emotional support, financial support. Just it's a whole like lot of different variables. So I don't like bishop d7. First of all, it just two pieces are defending it. I don't like it. Second of all, ooh, knight g5. Relax, you are good. Yeah, knight g5. Now the tables have turned. Haha. Remember like 5 moves ago, maybe like 3 moves ago, I was talking about how black is playing in the king side, white's playing the queen side. Well, black changed that because black started to make moves in the queen side. It gave white enough time to start organizing stuff in the king side. So, knight g5. There we go. And in this game, Ivanchuk played queen h5. Now, white to move, what should we do? The move that Carlsen played is not necessarily the only way to win. White still does have advantage without doing what Carlsen did, but I thought it's a very, the reason I'm showing you this game is because of this move. So, good luck. What do you guys think? I think I'll give you maybe about a minute. Ooh, another subscriber. Lovely. Keep it going. Keep it coming? Huh, I don't know which one to use. Whatever it is, keep subscribing. Thank you. So it's kind of funny because Ivanchuk thought that this position is fine and he's not really in trouble, but black is in deep trouble. How can we actually open the can of worms? Take your time, try to find it. If you are watching this video later on, pause, and then look it, because this is a very, very, very fun thing. Queen c4, that's not the move that was played in the game. Nope. Queen c4, I think white still does hold a mini advantage. Nothing that big, nothing that small, but not the move. So yeah, we were right. h7 square is weak. So who's defending h7? Knight and queen. Can we somehow... So these pieces, the knight and the queen, are overloaded. How can we use that? How can we use overloaded pieces? I think we're getting somewhere. What do you think? How to use overloaded pieces? We can do this. Come on, guys and gals. Ah! Nah, g4 just weakens your king. My king is... No, I'm gonna keep my king safe and tidy. Oh, nope. So, overloaded doesn't mean that I want to attack it. It means that I want to use the fact that it's so preoccupied with this pawn that can't really do stuff with the other. He can't really perform his other responsibilities. So what other responsibility does this knight have currently? Kind of spelling it out over here. d7, right, that's another small responsibility that black's knight has. And Magnus beautifully went boom. Nice. Yep, exactly. Now if you decide to take it back, well, that's not gonna be pretty. I'm just gonna take it over here, and then bishop g6, queen gotta go, let's say h6, and I have, well, your queen falls. To put it just to summarize it, queen is gonzo, basically. Alright, and if you do like queen g4, now f3, and this queen will be trapped, that queen is falling. So, There is a question about what if g6 here. So if g6, I could just eat this with the bishop now. And if you take back, now I'll take this, and your king is just sad. Sad, sad, sad king. Oh, bishop e5 maybe at some point? Yeah, I also want to throw in a bishop e5 in there. This is like +4 for white. White is super winning. And yeah. Alright, I just wanted to briefly mention this g6 as well. And when queen h5 happened, rook d7. In the game, black did not take it. He just went for king h8, just trying to survive it. And also, I want to point out, bishop d7 does not work. Bishop d7 actually blows out all the advantage because we don't really have a threat with this. We're not really attacking anything. It gives black enough time to activate his pieces with knight c5. Now let's say you come back, you ate a pawn, right? But that doesn't matter because this game is not about pawn. A lot of the time chess is about just pawn eating, but that's not one of these times. Now it's all about piece activity. Actually, I lied. Chess is never about eating pawns. Chess is all about piece activity. Sometimes that piece activity results in eating a lot of pawns, but you shouldn't be chasing pawns if it costs you piece activity. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's actually a good quote. Alright, now rook d7 and king went h8, okay. Now what should we do with this rook? Should we just move it around? Or should we just keep the piece, like should we just develop this other guy? Because that's our one last piece in need of a development. So, honestly, rook ad1 might be the best move in the game, but Magnus went for rook e7. This is good move, but you're taking like you are choosing material. You are deciding to keep your material rather than like initiative and piece activation and all those cliches that we always talk about. Yeah, rook d1 could have been more interesting, which then I could try to. Thank you for another subscriber. Then I could try to continue, like if you take it, then I could take that with the rook. Now this is like super rook up there. Rooks do love 7th rank. That is not a cliche. Yeah, so that's something that just keep in mind. I don't know if I would do it in the game. Rook d4 is also suggested that we could just, go at it with the pawn. Nothing wrong with that either, but I think rook e7 might just be as interesting. And this is kind of fun because we're not even 20 moves in and black is so, what's the right word? That's won't get me in trouble. Black is so tied up, I guess. Not exactly my word choice, but yeah, rook e7 and like black's piece activity is just sad. So Ivanchuk tried to dug himself out of this hole, but it's not really working out that well. What do you think white should do? After this move, the rest of the game is pretty easy. This move is not that crazy. Okay, maybe a little crazy, but again, if you look into the concept of piece activity and the overloaded pieces, again, so try to identify which piece of opponent is overloaded. And for those of you who are playing and just listening to my voice from a different tab, make sure to save your games and upload them to Lichess or play on Lichess and have them ready because shortly we're going to switch to Twitch and analyze your games. Just a heads up, subscribers will be prioritized, but it's open to all. Nah, rook g7, our pieces are not ready. So this queen is overloaded. Queen is overloaded, defending h7. It's not exactly defending anything else because the queen is not exactly under attack right now, but it definitely could. So, Moda, you have the right square, not the right piece. You gotta bring the bishop to g4. So, another good idea is rook e5. I think rook e5 is also pretty interesting. And we would just have an f3, and this is a very winnable game. Rook sacrifices are fun, rook blunders are not. You gotta be very careful. Sacrifice and blunder are not the same thing. Alright, so bishop g4, and now if you take it, well, that's gonna be checkmate in one move. That's even funner. And if queen g6, we don't necessarily want to exchange queens. If you want us to exchange queens as black, you gotta put on more work. You can't just be like, hey, can we exchange queen? And I'll be like, okay, doesn't work like that. You gotta buy this queen some dinner first. So, what are we gonna do? Any checks in this position? Any fun takes? Anything? Anything interesting? Exactly, nice check, yeah. If you take it, well, that's gonna be fun because now I will exchange this queen and I will just have extra material. Nice. So after check, king g8, now what do we do? Still wants to exchange queens, still not the time. Oh yeah, bishop f5, thank you. Yeah, bishop f5, and queen took it, which is just very fun because I actually did not see that move coming. Uh, yeah, so this is a little weird because if you play queen h5, then g4, and this queen will fall. That's not. It's not about if I can keep this queen or not. It's about finding the best way to make peace with the fact that this queen is falling. So I mean, if it doesn't fall, if it still helps white improve all of their pieces, and then I think that's like I think this position is much better for white rather than just the queen falling. And anyway, so in the game, Ivanchuk went for this line, and now I'm gonna take another quick pause and ask you guys, what do you think white should do? And again, this does give the best chance for black to fight, so this gives black the best fighting chance compared to that other position that you get to keep your queen, but all your other pieces are just heavily misplaced. Yep, bring the check. King, well, you can take it. King can move too, but I don't see why that would be necessary. Take it, check, and we eat over there. Alright, so, white to move, what to do? Keep in mind that black does have quite a lot of material in exchange for the queen. So how are we gonna be able to use this? Can this minor pieces kind of just make up for the queen? Mathematically, yeah, but what about piece activity? I like this idea, going with the h-pawn. Maybe not yet, we still gotta activate this guy, but yeah, that h-pawn coming up. So rook d1, good idea. He tries to activate his pieces too, boom, h4. The idea is clear. If you move your king, now I also have queen d4 ideas and following with h5, or h5 first and then, actually I think h5 first, never mind. Knight moves, take over here, and I still, well, white does have clear advantage in this case. All you gotta do is get your bishop in this diagonal, which shouldn't be that hard to achieve. And then this is how white will win, sooner or later. Alright, so, not king h8. So, if not king h8, this knight is falling. What should black do? Well, the answer is simple. It's still in, well, we gotta activate the pieces idea. This is the piece, let's activate it. h5, activate your pieces. And queen g5 is wrong. Can you tell me why? What's wrong with queen g5? There's a very weird song in my head. I don't even know what it's called. So what do you think is wrong? Exactly, rook f5, thank you. And then we gotta move this queen and boom, rook f4. And black actually ends up catching a draw. Alright, so be very careful with that. Even though you have clear advantage, just still be very careful of what's happening. And if you, even if you didn't want to repeat and you just came back, then you would drop this pawn, and we don't want to drop that pawn. It's a good pawn. So now my queen is under attack. Where should I go with the queen? C4, yeah, let's take it. Alright, let's take that. And knight e5. So this knight's freed up, but that doesn't mean that it's why black is holding. Black still is in trouble, but now at least the piece is not falling. Now the knights are getting a little more close to center, so white still should be cautious of what's going on. And here, actually, black made an inaccuracy. He should have done knight e6 to try and keep the knights in the center slash king side, because king side is his weakness. But he went for knight c6. Now, Carlsen played a very gorgeous move of rook d5. Now you're entering the rook into this attack. And yeah, so it's kind of funny. Let me ask you, what if rook takes e2? White to move, what do you think white should do? This is just supposed to be funny, so don't get hung up on it too much. What if rook e2? Any suggestion? Yeah, just do stuff on d8, even queen d8, and that should be it. Yeah, back rank is bye-bye. Rook d8 works too, just to clarify. Yeah, so rook e2 doesn't work, so now, finally, this knight e6 was played, just like a move too late. So, after knight e6, this was another pretty beautiful move that Magnus played, queen to c4. Just, it's not like a super move, but it is like slowly preparing for more. That's what I like about it. So yeah, queen c4 and queen e4 would have also been interesting because it's like a bunch of pins and a bunch of different ways of attacking. Yeah, if queen e4, queen e4 would have also been interesting, and queen a4 would have also been interesting too. A lot of little these queen ideas, and then you could just bring more pressure. Alright. Yeah, it could get lower. Alright, so let's say queen went to c4 and knight d8. So, one kind of final question. Black made a mistake. How can we continue? White to move. What's the winning move here? Again, to clarify, there are a lot of moves that white can do to hold advantage, even like a lot of advantage, like +4, +3 advantage, but this is the winning move. What do you think is this winning move? And knight d8 was a bad move. Knight e7 should have been played. No, rook d8 is too early for something like that. Our queen is still misplaced. Just because my queen went to queen side doesn't mean that it can't come back to king side, right? So again, even if black didn't play knight d8 and he just played like knight e7, it doesn't mean that black is holding. It just kind of makes it a little bit longer. Yeah, queen g4, good job. And if you play king h8, that's not really gonna hold either, because now just boom, bring in the bishop, and that'll be it. Yeah. So even if e7, and that bishop fell. And yeah, that was kind of it. Ivanchuk resigned. And this game helped Magnus get one step closer to breaking Kasparov's record. Alright, so that is all the time I have for Chess and Psychology on YouTube today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now I want to meet you in Twitch, in our Twitch channel, in about 10 minutes. I'm gonna take a quick break, make some changes to the channel, grab some tea, pay some respects, maybe hug the cat, and I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes on Twitch. Don't forget to bring a game that you played on Lichess or a Lichess link. And